to LRP. So I'm going to introduce Mike Barlow.
Morning, family. Morning. We start out with the free version of the Serenity Prayer. Who woke us up this morning? God. Grant us serenity to accept things we cannot change, courage to change things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today. That's what I'm talking about. In NA, we have higher powers. And I choose to call my higher power God. I believe in God with all my heart and my soul. Without him, I would be nothing. I'm a local guy, born and raised in Battle Creek. I'm the youngest of 3 children. I got an older brother, 8 years older, and a sister 6 years older than me. Both my parents worked in factories. My dad retired from Kellogg's. My mother worked at U.S. Restaurant Company for 27 years. When they closed down in '74, she worked at Kellogg's for 14 years. So we come from a 2-income family, so we were pretty comfortable as kids, and we didn't have to go without. But my story is like a lot of addicts. My mother was the oldest of 8. My dad was the youngest of 6, so we always had 9 uncles around. And you know, they drank. And some of them smoked a little weed. We had a bar in the basement. I can remember everybody coming over on Sunday and listening to Red Fox albums and drinking wine and Cold Duck. And we had a bar in the basement, so I started to nibble dab drinking at 14, 15. I can remember going to my 9th grade prom at WK. We all snuck in little aspirin bottles of liquor, drinking like that. And I worked through high school. I worked in a grocery store for 6 years, and then at 22, I got hired in consumers. And with that job, I had by then I was smoking weed, drinking, doing cocaine, and I had a lot of money to cover my addiction. After 10 years there, I was really in bad shape, so I went to treatment, a 28-day program, new day out to the fort. And plus they started to drop at consumers. So I quit the weed, but I still used the cocaine. That didn't last too long. I started freebasing smoking cocaine in 1979. That's where my downfall went. I had a great idea, because I have a disease between my ears. I had the great idea that I better quit before I get fired. That way I won't have all the money, and maybe I won't get high. That didn't work. First time I went to jail, I was 41 years old, in and out of the county. I was so known down there. When I got arrested, they would take me right from classification and make me trustee, because I was, a pretty decent guy. I ended up 10 years later, I ended up in prison at the age of 51. They charged me I had six felonies, a whole bunch of misdemeanors, and my sentence was 30 months, 240 months. So if I got out of prison on parole and got another felony charge, I'd have to go finish the 20 years. And I still didn't think I had a problem with drugs. I used while I was on parole. I got on parole 4 months early. So I'm thinking, I don't have no problem. And I did good for a while, then I got back into the system where I had a felony warrant in Calhoun County, 2 misdemeanor warrants in Calhoun County, and a 4th-degree habitual larceny from the building in Branch County. So I tried to clean my act up after that, and I went to see my dad. He was 100 years old. I went to see him. And I did a whole bunch of errands. I went to see him. And on the way home from there, I got arrested. And that's the last time I seen my dad. So they called me out of season about a week later to go up to intake. When I seen the lieutenant walking down towards me, I knew my dad had died. So that was my rock bottom. I wasn't there for Mom. My mom's still alive. They had been married 74 years. I wasn't there for Mom. That was my rock bottom. I said, no more after this. So I did 143 days in jail. Chuck Walsh interviewed me. He's so part of my recovery, it's just great. I got accepted to drug court. And when I went to court, they slapped a tether on me, so they knew what I needed if I wanted to change my life. If you want something or someone to change your life, look in the mirror first. You know, it's all about attitude. 10% what happens to you, and 90% how you react. So during my tour with drug court, when I went to phase 2, I had to do 20 hours community service because I'm retired. So I was blessed to do it at the LRP program. I did that for 4 months, then after that I got hired at the LRP program. So between going to Living in Balance, life skills, relapse prevention, NA meetings, working at the LRP, running groups, sitting in groups, I had a pretty good chance of recovery. And that's what happened. And I worked there for a year and a half, and then I actually got me a job at Summer Point, but it was too many hours. I was off balance. I wasn't going to any meetings. I was doing odd things for drug court, dropping guys on the weekend when Mike Howard wasn't there when the last year was through. But working all those hours had me off balance. I couldn't do it. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, going to meetings and meditating and concentrating, so I had to let that job go. And I've been blessed through my whole recovery all the time. The recovery community in Battle Creek is so huge and large. It's just, it can be a part of everyone's life. There's so many opportunities out here for you to get help. It's just great. And you know, drug court saved my life. I remember the judge asking me one day in court, he said, "How you like jumping through the hoops?" And I told him, "It's nothing compared to the hoops I used to have to jump through to get my drugs." And I give it to Judge Hattasy, I give it to Chuck Walsh, William Essex, Valerie Patterson. They helped me stay clean and sober, and people in this room helped me stay clean and sober. You know, I was looking for a new way of life, and I found it, and I want to keep it. Because our disease tells us that we don't have a disease. That's the only disease that is set up like that. And our disease wants to be the solution for all our problems, and it doesn't have to be. You get help. There's a guy in this room right here, Nate Bonacosti. He works night. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I text him, we talk all the time. Ashley, I used to party with Mike. Party with Mike and his brother, and seeing him do that, and I knew I had a chance, seeing people going to NA meetings and listening to people talk and going through the trials and tribulations they went through and they didn't use. You know, we call it be a member of the no matter what. Don't use no matter what. I mean, the use of drugs is just a side effect. My sponsor tells me that I have a disease between my ears. I can get us some crazy stuff and not be using, but now I think about my consequences. You know, I had a $200 a day drug habit. I would go to stores and push out carts, steal material, dip into my wife's purse, con my mother out of some money. You know, I don't have to wake up and look for a victim anymore in the morning. You know, and I have 3 years clean in October. It's a blessing. You know, and Ashley asked me to speak. I was a little nervous about it. I stutter quite a bit, but I'm doing okay, I think. But I love recovery. Recovery is my friend. You know, it's just beautiful. That's all I got. Thank you.